Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This week I want to talk about something that I have wanted to talk about for a while, either on my Instagram or here, but I've kept putting off because I just didn't want to kind of go there. But then I realised that it's Mental Health Awareness Week next week, and I thought that this would actually be a really good time to talk about this. So it's kind of why I'm making this video now. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about my experiences of mental health, particularly anxiety and depression, and a bit of eating disorders as well. And yeah, kind of just tell you my story, hoping that it will give you guys some benefit and you will be able to kind of see where I was and where I am now, which is in such a better place. Like, I am so much happier now than I was back then. But I hope that just by telling you my story, you will kind of be able to understand what I was going through and maybe recognize if you're going through something similar, or if someone close to you is going through something similar, and how you might be able to help them and what kind of things helped me. So yeah, I'm just going to tell you my story. I think that's the easiest thing to do, and probably the most useful, and at this moment in time probably the easiest thing for me, because I'm not used to talking about this kind of stuff. I'm like just so nervous, my hands are sweating, and I'm like wringing my hands like this underneath the camera from what you can see. Anyway, so I'm going to start at the beginning. So when I was 18, 17, before I started going to medical school, I was really, really bubbly. People knew me as like this bubbly, lively person. I was very confident. I would go to people's birthday parties on my own where I didn't know other people that well. Like, if my friends were busy, I would just be like, oh, I'm going to go on my own. And I just remember being a really happy person. I do remember that time, at the end of school time, was probably when I started having issues with my body image. And I think probably when I was about 16, 17, 18, I started making myself throw up. God, I've never actually admitted that on social media. Yeah, so that was happening, which, yeah, it was a difficult time. Anyway, I don't know how to go on from that. So then I started university, and I found first year really, really difficult. I had friends, but they didn't go to lectures that much. So I would often be on my own in lectures. We'd have 2-hour lunch breaks, and I'd often just feel like a lost fish, and I would probably just go back to my halls and sleep and cry and watch TV. I remember crying a lot in first year. I remember crying to my mum and my sister, saying that I wanted to quit medical school, or that maybe it was my university and I wanted to see if I could change universities. And I just remember being quite unhappy. Like, there were definitely good parts, and I know I had fun in first year, and like, I have pictures of me having fun. I have memories with my friends of fun things, but so much of it is scattered with sadness as well, like more than it should have been. I kind of, with the eating disorder side of things, I kind of stopped doing that when I got to university, but looking back, I had lost a lot of weight. I really remember thinking that my jeans were big for me because I had now gone to university and was washing my own clothes for the first time, and I thought that I just didn't know how to use a washing machine. Looking back, it was actually just because I'd lost a load of weight. But yeah, I remember someone saying, oh, your jeans are really baggy, you must have lost weight. And I was like, oh no, it's just because I washed them badly. But anyway, it's just things like that how did I not recognise how unwell I was? But yeah, so I kind of stopped the throwing up side of things, but I reckon throughout all of university I was restricting what I was eating in some kind of way. Then second and third year of university, a bit of a blur, but I think I was like ticking on. I definitely wasn't 100% happy, and I had like bits of feeling anxious and stressed out with various things, particularly social situations, and I always felt like I just didn't quite fit in, and I always felt like, how did everybody else manage to have fun and do well in exams, and I felt like I was studying all the time. I was very, very insecure in my friendships, in my relationships, in myself. I just felt that like I was never ever good enough. Even in my as a medical student, I just felt basically what I now recognise was imposter syndrome, but I felt it throughout all of my life. Like, I would literally be like, why are you friends with me? Why aren't you friends with someone else who's cooler than me? Just things like that. I'm gonna have a sip of my Robinsons. So that was, yeah, the first few years of university. And like I say, again, I definitely had happy times and happy memories, and I know I did, but I remember so much sadness as well, which is sad to even remember. And I feel sad for like me, previous me, how sad I was and how badly I recognised it. So I think it got really bad in 4th year and 5th year of university. So in my medical school in 4th year, we did a BSc, which is a Bachelor of Science. And it was a lot of essay writing, a lot of academic work, a lot of deadlines. And I just remember finding it really, really difficult. And it's funny because I have a friend who I'm friends with now, but she was from another university and she came to my medical school just for this 1 year. And she said to me, oh my gosh, I always thought you were so put together. You just seemed so on it. You always had nice clothes. And I was like, I hear that now and I'm like, you have no idea what I was going through. Like, I was not put together. There's just so much that was wrong. For examples, I would be on a bus journey home, 20 to 30 minute journey. And I would spend the whole journey thinking, okay, should I go to the gym first and then revise and then wash my hair and then or should I go out for dinner or should I do this? And I would spend the whole journey thinking about five things that I wanted to do that evening and what order I should do them in, and stressing about the minutiae of it so much. And then I would get to the end of the bus journey, realise I was at my stop, realise I'd been thinking about it for half an hour and actually not come to a conclusion and have a really bad headache. Like, I would stress about the tiniest things. I would always feel that people didn't want me there, or like didn't care about me, or were out to like people just didn't, I can't explain it, but like people didn't love me, I guess. That people who so clearly did. But I would always question the fact that like they actually wanted me in their life. I would definitely feel that like people would be happier without me. And I guess like thinking about it, I was probably a bit suicidal, but like not actively, just like thinking that the world would be a better place without me. Oh gosh, this is deep, isn't it? Anyway, I would like scrutinize things so much. Like if I'd sent a message to a friend and they had a blue tick, I would get really upset. This was also when Snapchat was a big thing, and I would be really upset when people would be doing fun things on their Snapchat and wouldn't have invited me. And I just felt like everyone else was really happy and I wasn't, and everyone else would be happier without me. I remember being very, very insecure, like just so insecure. And I remember crying so much. So this was 4th year and 5th year. I just remember crying so much. I remember sleeping really badly, like every single night. I would wake up 2-3 times a night. I ate so badly. My appetite was poor. I was very, very slim, and I never accepted that I was slim enough. I constantly thought that I was too big and I needed to lose weight, and I got a personal trainer to try and become like even slimmer. And I was again stress about food and going to the gym. And then also I was very anxious about events. I'd be very anxious about even lectures. I'd be like, who would I sit next to? And I'd feel this like honestly true anxiety in me about who will I sit next to in my lecture, or how can I go to sports night when I didn't play in the netball match. And this would be when I'm like 5th year, like I'm one of the senior people in the netball team or in netball, not even in the team because I wasn't in the team, but I would play socially, and I would feel like I can't possibly go to sports night because I didn't play in the match, which is just stupid. Like sports night is a social thing. There were just so many things. There's so much I can't remember. I probably blocked out a lot of it, but I just remember being so unhappy, so sad. So yeah, that's how I felt. And yeah, like I say, everybody else around me was like, Rads, you look so great. How have you lost so much weight? You look so put together. You seem so on it. And I'm just like, it's just so funny looking back at how much that was not true. So I guess that's like a really big learning point for me, is that when people have lost weight or look like they're really got their life together or look like they're very busy and happy, it's probably worth checking, are they actually? Because I think everybody just thought I was fine. And even my family, like my family love me so much and I'm so close to them, but I don't even think they really realised what was going on. And yeah, it was just everyone complimenting me about how slim I was. And I look back at pictures now and I'm like, bloody hell, I was skinny. Like, and the fact I didn't think I was skinny enough was just ridiculous. Like I'd easily fit into a size 8 in Topshop or an extra small in Zara, which neither of them would fit me now, and I don't care about that. But yeah, I just wasn't well in so many ways. So now going on to like what changed. So someone close to me, I think when I was, so in 2017, so I was 22, 23, basically was like, Rads, like someone realized basically and was like, Rads, you're not okay, like you need to seek help. And that happened in like the early January. And also a few months before that, I'd had a CAMS taster week as part of my paediatric rotation. CAMS is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. So I had a week of going to the CAMS as a medical student, and I remember seeing these children who were probably literally, I was 22, so some of them were like 17, so like 4 or 5 years younger than me, and I just saw how much help they were getting. And I remember going to my GP before I started university about my eating disorder, and my GP kind of just like gave me a reference to a website and said, have a look at this. And I always remember feeling so when I had that CAMS rotation, I basically said I thought about it for a long time, and then I said to the doctor who I was shadowing, who was really lovely, I was like, I feel sad that when I went through this, I didn't get any help, and I feel like there's a lot of help I could have been given. And to be honest, I was still going through it, like when I think about it. And she also was like, speak to your supervisor, see if there's any help you can get, speak to your GP. So that CAM situation happened, and then also someone close to me was like, Rads, you're not okay, you need to seek help. So both of those things happened, and this person close to me basically gave me an ultimatum, was like, you have to go, or like you just have to go. So I remember booking a GP appointment, and that was so hard, like booking that appointment. And I'd actually also booked a counselling session through my university website, but then I missed the appointment because I was just such a mess. I was so scatty back then, especially, that I just forgot about the appointment. I missed it. So I missed that, but then I'd also booked a GP appointment because I think I was a bit like, okay, I need to do something, and I was recognising that I wasn't well. And then I remember this GP appointment so clearly. I just sat there in the GP surgery in like floods of tears, and I was just like, oh gosh, I'm welling up now. I was just so sad, and I can't remember what I said, but I was crying so much and just telling her like how hard I was finding everything. And yeah, it's a classic, like when they give you a box of tissues and they're like, you know, but she was really I can't remember what she looked like or anything, but she was really lovely. And she gave me a box of tissues, and yeah, I just cried and cried and cried. And then she basically said that she would, I can't remember if she said it there and then or if she said it in like a later follow-up phone call, but she basically suggested having CBT, which is cognitive-based therapy, and it's a talking therapy to kind of go through how you think things and why you think how you do, and kind of challenge your negative thoughts. So I went home, and that evening or a couple of days later, I got an email from her with like 2 questionnaires, and I had to fill in the questionnaires. And I remember one of them had like paragraphs, and I was trying to find it, kind of just to reflect on it. And yeah, I wasn't going to show it to you guys, but I just wanted to find it to kind of look at it and really remember how I felt back then, but I couldn't find it. But I remember being really sad when I was writing it too. And then 2 weeks later, I remember being in the library, and I got a call from a random number, and I answered it, and they were like, oh, like, we're from Imperial Healthcare, would you like to start CBT next week? And I was like, what? Like, that's amazing. Because obviously we all know that in mental health services, like the waiting list can be really, really long. And I'm just so grateful that, I think because it was a university GP, maybe their services are different, but I'm just so grateful that they were able to offer me therapy so quickly, like less than a month from when I first went to my GP, did everything happen. So yeah, then I started CBT. I had this lovely therapist called Marietta, and I had 6 sessions, and they were every week. And CBT honestly is so hard. Like you talk about your life, you talk about everything in your life, you talk about how you think, and you basically have to challenge so much of what you already know. And I don't think, no one really talked about mental health to the degree that they do now. But the thing that, like, I just didn't expect it to be so tiring and so intense. Like, you're literally going through your brain and like rumbling it all up. And it's just a lot. And I would leave every session so tired and like crying loads. And like I would have some sessions where I'd be late because I overslept, which is just like classic, like not being together. And yeah, I just remember finding it really intense, having these sessions and talking about how I felt, and she'd give me like exercises to do at home, and like diaries to keep, and like mood diaries, and I found it so helpful. Like I think 3-4 weeks in, I was just like, actually, this has been really good for me, and I really saw the change. Yeah, and honestly, like I think back to those sessions, and I just feel like they really changed my life, and I'm so grateful to my therapist for like what she helped me through. I didn't realize I needed it, and I probably wouldn't have sought help had those things not happened that I've already mentioned. But yeah, the CBT helped me so much, and like even now, 4 years later, I still use techniques that my therapist taught me throughout those CBT sessions, and like different ways to challenge my thoughts and different ways to kind of recognize when I'm thinking negatively. So yeah, those 6 sessions happened. I was still struggling afterwards, but I just had more tools to help me through. And then yeah, that was that. So the CBT was when I was in 5th year, 2017, and then I had final year, and I think I generally was like, I remember final year being a lot happier, and then I started being a doctor, and it's just weird to think how different I am now to back then. I do still get wobbles, and like over last summer I was seeing a counsellor, just to help, I think particularly with COVID, like I was just finding some things quite difficult, and like again, I've not really shared that on my Instagram or on here, but like sometimes you do need a bit of extra help, and there's no shame in that. I was also offered whether I wanted to try medication, but it was very much like, do you want to try this or this? And talking therapies can be really helpful if you're like committed to them, and if you're the sort of person that would find them beneficial. So I just can't remember what the reasoning was, but between myself and my GP, we did decide to go for talking therapies first. But absolutely, there would have been no shame in taking medication if I needed to. Yeah. And yeah, like I say, I still have bad days, I still have wobbles, I still have like weeks where I just feel a bit rubbish. When I started pediatrics, I found like the first few months quite difficult because it was like a brand new environment, and I always felt like I wasn't doing well enough and wasn't just good enough. But yeah, I kind of have managed to get through that. I think I wish I could just tell my younger self a few things. I wish I could tell her that it's okay to seek help when you're not feeling happy and you're not feeling right. And I think I didn't accept that things weren't okay, because I kind of thought, well, I've got this and I've got that and my life's so good, why I shouldn't be sad. I'm like not allowed to be sad. So that's what stopped me by kind of recognizing that my mental health wasn't great. And then that stopped me wanting to seek help, because I couldn't really accept and couldn't acknowledge that I even had any issues. So I wish I could kind of tell myself, like, Rads, if you're not feeling okay, you need to recognize that and you need to seek help for it. And I also wish I told myself just to tell other people, because I don't think I really told people around me how I was feeling, and I was just trying to deal with it all on my own and feel these sad things and think these really sad and dark thoughts. And I wish I just told other people, because they would want to know what I was going through and they would want to support me and like make sure I'm okay, but I just didn't tell anyone really. So if any of you guys are watching this and you feel that way, I would really recommend speaking to someone, like anyone, just one person. And that is the hardest thing, it's so hard to tell that person that I'm not feeling okay. And then the next hardest thing is making that appointment and seeing your GP and trying to seek help. But recognizing it is a really important step, and then telling people, actually, I'm not okay and I need a hand through this, I need some support. And then the other thing I wish I could tell my younger self was just that it would be okay, because there were some times I really could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, if I could see myself now, I wouldn't believe it like back then. Like, I just yeah, and I'm so proud of myself for like how far I've come and how much happier I am. But I know that Rads a few years ago wouldn't have been able to see that. And I think now when I'm going through difficult patches, I just always tell myself, like, it will be okay, this will not last forever. And I'm just saying that from my own experience. I know that some people do have really long-term depression and difficulties, but I just wish I told my previous self that actually you will get through this, but you need help with it. Yeah, also another thing I wanted to mention was that actually at the end of my CBT sessions, on the last session, the therapist gave me the questionnaires that I'd already done at the beginning. She gave me the questionnaires again to do. And then she told me that at the beginning, my questionnaires came out as severe anxiety and moderate depression. And they were definitely improved by the end of the CBT sessions. I can't remember to what degree, but I remember feeling so like shocked that that's how bad it was, because I just didn't see that. I did not think I had severe anxiety and moderate depression. But then when you actually put it down on paper in a questionnaire and I ticked the boxes that I ticked, it was very clear that I did. And yeah, I remember hearing that. I was just a bit like, what? Like, I could not believe that I was that bad. Yeah. For any of you guys that are coming across me for the first time in this video, or any of you guys that don't know me that well, I share a lot of my life on my Instagram, and I want you to know that, like, I know Instagram isn't real life, but I try to make my account as real as possible. But I want you to know that I am doing so much better now. Like, I honestly feel happy most days, and I might have a sad moment or a sad day or a sad week, but I get through it, and I have tools to cope, to manage it, and I have people I can speak to. And I just think, like I say, I think back to that Radhika, and I just feel so sad for her that I was so sad. It was definitely a really difficult time in my life. I look back on it with so much sadness, but I'm so proud of myself for getting through. I think one thing a lot of people were interested in was how my family reacted, particularly being from an Asian background. And it is very true that mental health conditions aren't kind of acknowledged anywhere near as well in an Asian community. My family were very supportive throughout, but I think it took my parents some time to fully get it. I don't think they got it. I can't remember the ins and outs, but I do remember thinking a little bit like, they don't get it. But they did. They were supportive, and they have always been so there for me. Even little things, like when I was studying for exams, they'd bring me food like twice a week just because they were worried I wasn't eating enough, like little things like that. But yeah, I think my mum particularly didn't understand the eating disorder side of things. Like, I guess it's just not really understood in like an Asian community. But yeah, I'm doing so much better now. Like I can't keep telling you I'm doing better. Like, I am. Fine. Yeah, I think that's really all I have to say about this. I'm going to leave a load of links down below for different charities and places you can go for help. I know particularly if you're a medical student or a doctor, there are specific charities that help. It can be really hard, and like feeling like you're having to look after other people but you're struggling to look after yourself. That's one thing that I really found difficult to kind of come to terms with, that how am I going to be a doctor if I'm literally a mess. But it can be really hard. It can be really hard, like going through medical school and being a doctor and looking after yourself and putting yourself as a priority when you have all these other things to do. Please do speak to family members and friends. And there's also a specific South Asian network or South Asian therapist. I can't remember the exact name, but I'll put that down in the info box below as well. And lastly, please don't forget to check in on your friends and loved ones. People will often seem like they've got it all together, but they very often don't. And it can just take someone just like really checking in that you're okay to be the thing that makes someone realise that actually they do need to take that step for help, or actually that they're not okay. So please do find out how people are doing and speak to them openly about their mental health and your mental health. Just kind of develop that relationship to make it okay. Okay, I think that is everything I want to say in this video. I think that, well, there were lots of questions on this topic on my Instagram when I kind of posted that I'm going to be making this video, so I might do kind of like a mental health Q&A later on in the year, maybe next month. And I'm sure lots of you will have questions, so feel free to leave them in the comments down below. But yeah, I think that's probably a lot for now. This is a long video, it's now, wow, like so many minutes. If you've got this far, thank you for watching. It's Mental Health Awareness Week next week, so please don't forget to check in on yourself and check in on those around you and seek help if you need it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!